welcome to this tag video. There's been quite a few tag videos floating around the YouTube movie community the past few weeks, and I saw one, TV shows that changed my life. Brian Lomax did it, and he didn't tag me specifically, but I thought I'd do it anyway, because I don't talk about TV shows hardly enough, considering I do watch them and I often just talk about movies. So I thought I'd do something a bit different and do this tag. So to get into it, there's 10 questions. Number 1, what TV shows do you remember watching the most as a kid? Thomas the Tank Engine is way up there for me. I think my 18th birthday I had a Thomas the Tank Engine birthday cake, which everyone got a good kick out of because I was such a ridiculous uber fan of Thomas the Tank Engine when I was a little kid. I used to know all the names of all the trains, I had all the toys, that kind of thing. But also a show called Tugs, which was a boat version of Thomas the Tank Engine in a lot of ways, and I love that show so much, and I think that it's just incredible. Like, the music is great, just the production design is great looking back at it now. It hasn't got a DVD release, which is a big shame, and I think it only had like 13 episodes, but in the UK they'd released like a videotape with like 2 episodes on it, so it felt like you had a big collection, but really there was only the equivalent of 1 season of the show. So Tugs was one of the big ones for me as a kid, and there are like cartoons that I'd watch as well, and the usual stuff that kids watch. You know, get up on Saturday morning and just like record hours of all these different shows and watch them back and things. Stop It and Tidy Up was an animated show that I used to love as a kid. Some of the stop motion stuff like Trapdoor, things like that. So yeah, that's really it. I mainly just think of Thomas the Tank Engine and Tugs. And I recently went back, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. I watched the first season of Thomas the Tank Engine just to see how it held up, and it's pretty damn good. And it's fun that it's narrated by Ringo Starr as well in the UK. Number 2, what TV shows do you love the most and can't get enough of? I'd say just Breaking Bad. You know, my favorite TV show of all time. It's the more I watch it, the more that I find it. Just more in it, you know, that you find these little details that you didn't notice before. It really rewards you on subsequent viewings, and yeah, I mean, I've been kind of doing a big rewind. I need to get back to doing that, but that's the one really that I really, and The Simpsons, which I guess I started watching The Simpsons more when I was younger. I guess just before I was about to become a teenager. I guess more earlier than that. I guess I suppose we'll put The Simpsons in the shows that I used to watch as a kid as well, but mainly my young teens. I remember The Simpsons being more of a big deal and something that I used to watch over and over again. But that's another show, The Simpsons. Classic early Simpsons, like season 1 to 7, you know, or really, you know, 3 to 7. That's like the golden period, I think, is just, it still holds up, and it's still so funny and so poignant and touching, and just all these emotions. Like, it's just so perfectly done. And I can't comment on the later, you know, seasons of The Simpsons because I haven't watched them, but they don't seem to, you know, compel me that much. I'll see on Facebook like Fox posts, oh, you won't believe what Marge is doing this Sunday on Fox on The Simpsons. It's like, really? Like, they've been going for like 30 years and that's ridiculous. Anyway, what is the weirdest TV show you have ever watched? Question 3. The weirdest TV show I've ever watched. Garth Marenghi's Dark Place is incredibly weird, though very funny. But I'm trying to think of anything other weird shows. I mean, there's a lot of weird Japanese stuff out there that I've seen clips of but not really watched a full show of. The weirdest TV show I've ever watched. That's a tough one. I can't think of anything that pops into my head immediately as really weird. And here's one. Here's an interesting weird TV show. Eurotrash. Anyone remember that? Anyone who's around my age in the UK? Eurotrash was this show. I think it was a French presenter. It was on late night TV. I think Channel 4. Maybe 11 o'clock, something like that on the weekend. And I guess weekdays as well, and it was kind of like a like a documentary show where he would present on this colourful set like these weird stories from Europe, hence the title Eurotrash, and you'd always watch it as a teenager to get a look at some tits or something. There'd be some kind of weird sex stuff on it, you know, tame stuff when you think about it now, but you know, as a young teenager, you know, it's like, oh, but the actual show itself was just weird as shit and just so odd, and I would watch it a few times, but I mean, once the stuff that I wanted to see was over with, it was kind of just very, very weird show. If you've seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you don't, I guess you can Google it. You probably shouldn't. Number 4, what TV show did you want to hate but ended up loving? I'll go along with Brian Lomax, so I don't go into anything wanting to hate it, otherwise what's the point of watching it? But a few kind of examples in the same spirit of that question, The Walking Dead, when that first came out, I think 2010, kept hearing about it and it just sounded dull. It just sounded so dull. The Walking Dead, ugh. You know, and Connie was trying to get me into watching it. I was like, I just don't want to. Just watch the first episode. Fine, just put it on. So she put it on. I watched the first episode of The Walking Dead. Realized it was a zombie show, and it was over. And I went, just put the next episode on. Yeah. Watched the second episode, and I was like, I guess we can watch another one before bed. And then we watched the first season in like 24 hours. Became a big fan of it. Still am a big fan of it. Need to get back to the second half of season 7 now that that's done. And then I read the comics. Love those too. But yeah, that was one that I just wasn't really game for. Breaking Bad even, that was a show that gets so much praise, and now I'm on that other side of the fence where it's like, enough about Breaking fucking Bad, it can't be that good. And so I watched the first episode of Breaking Bad just so I could say it's not as good as, you know, I had that mindset, which is a shame, but ended up loving it, obviously. Number 5, what movie would you like to see as a TV show? I haven't thought about any of these beforehand, which is probably a bad thing. What movie would I like to see as a TV show? I'd be interested to see a live-action Star Wars TV show to see how it works. Part of me wants to just keep it precious with the movies, though. And just trying to think of some of my favourite movies that could make a decent TV show. I really don't know. Again, a Star Wars TV show that doesn't focus on the Jedi, in the vein of a Rogue One, that just tells these smaller side stories. I'd like to see stuff like that. They were going to do it. Was it Star Wars Underground? They had like 60 scripts written or something, like back in the 2000s. It just never happened, and then of course Disney bought it out, and I guess they're just sitting on those. They might not do anything with them. I'm sure we're going to see it at some point now. But yeah, I guess I'm trying to think. It's hard to think of a specific movie and think I would love to see that as a TV show, for me anyway. When there's so, I mean, hey, I'd love to see a TV show. Here's one. Alright, this is a out of the box one. Nausicaa: The Valley of the Wind, one of my favorite animated movies from Hayao Miyazaki, a Japanese anime film. I would like to see a TV show of that. Bring Miyazaki back, which he'd never do, but bring Miyazaki back and tell the full story that he told in that original manga, that 1,000+ page manga, which I've read, and it is just one of the best stories I've ever experienced. And so to see that whole story fleshed out would be phenomenal in like a 3-season TV show or something. I'll go with that one. Number 6, what's your favorite horror TV show? I did think about this one because I thought I can't think of any, but hey, Walking Dead. That's a horror show, so The Walking Dead is going to be one definitely to put up there, I guess. I just really enjoy it. You know, people say, oh, it drags, it gets slow, and it's, well, that's kind of the nature of the story. It's the nature of the beast, where you got these people and they're kind of, you know, they're just living. They're trying to get on and trying to make a good life for themselves, and things always mess up. Again, that's just the nature of it. And it's like this cyclical nature of, you know, settling down. Things get good, things get bad. They have to move, and I kind of like that. I like that kind of traveling roadshow style of the story, the same way that it was in the comics. And I think that it's a great TV show that gets unfairly trashed, you know, because a lot of people think, oh, the quality has sagged over the past 4 seasons. Like, what? I've never really watched a season of The Walking Dead and thought, man, they really dropped the ball. There are episodes, don't get me wrong, where I feel like they maybe linger on things too much, like those 2 episodes featuring the governor's backstory. Excuse me, in was it season 4? I thought that was a bit overkill. You know, that it's not a perfect show, but I still love it. Favorite? Any more horror kind of ish TV shows I can think of? There's not really. I'm sure there must be something, but that's the one that stands out. The Walking Dead. Number 7. What TV show would you like to see remade or rebooted? Generally, I don't like remakes or reboots or things like that. I'm just dying for original stuff. You know, it's like Breaking Bad. Like, that was great, just out of nowhere. Just a great original, you know, TV show. I mean, I just think of Firefly. I'd never want to see it remade or rebooted. I'd like to see a continuation of it. So, oh, and I just noticed question 8 is based on that. So I'll get to Firefly in just a second. What TV show would you like to see remade or rebooted? I really don't know. Hell, I'd like to see more of Tugs, you know, but it wouldn't be the same because they do it digitally now. Don't they do Thomas Tank Engine, CGI? Ugh. I don't want to see that. Not that I wouldn't want to see it now anyway because I'm an adult, so I guess that's null and void too. I can't think of anything. I can't think of a TV show that I would like to see remade, because most TV shows that you know I enjoy either are still going or have come to such a perfect conclusion they don't need to be touched again. So I'll leave that where that is. Number 8, what TV show would you like to have one more season? Firefly. Though again, I don't think it's worth doing now. I feel like it should have been done at the time. You know, Firefly was such an incredible show that kind of mixed the genres of sci-fi and western and had great characters, fantastic writing, and was just far too short. You know, I'm glad we got that movie Serenity to kind of at least tie up some of the loose ends, and that was my first introduction to the Firefly universe, was Serenity. I remember seeing that in the cinema in 2005, and I thought, this is the next Star Wars. I was so excited, and it didn't lead anywhere, unfortunately. It didn't make enough money, but it was good that that happened at least. But I would have loved to have seen more of that Firefly universe, because I loved it, and it's a shame that it was only one season. I think most people would say that. It's kind of the number one answer when people say, would you like to see more of a TV show? Firefly is up there. Number 9, what Hollywood actor would you like to see star in his or her own TV show? Now, what I thought this question meant was, what Hollywood actor would you like to see have a starring vehicle TV show, like, say, Breaking Bad is a starring vehicle for Bryan Cranston, for example. Brian Lomax kind of took it as in like a reality show based on a Hollywood actor, you know, and I'm not sure if that's quite the question. I mean, if it was, I don't really have a good answer for that either. I like reality shows that are based around something that can't be manipulated when you get down to the core of what it is. What I mean by that is something like Ink Master, which I love and watch a lot of. You know, yeah, the production of it, the way that the people in the house kind of argue with each other feels very much, you know, staged and things like that. But when it gets down to them doing all their tattoos and their artwork, I mean, you can't fake that. That is their work, and then it gets judged. American Ninja Warrior. You know, again, the presentation of it is just steeped in artifice, but when you get down to those athletes going across the course, and you have someone who's never been seen on the show before absolutely kill it, and it's amazing, and someone who's a veteran and has kind of got to the end every year in a row, and then they fall on the first obstacle, and it's like, wow, so all these stories happen organically. That's the kind of reality shows that I like. When it's based on someone, and it's like, you know, like a reality show vehicle for, like, Kardashians, like that stuff is so vapid, and just, you know, even Big Brother got to such a spectacle level that just wasn't interesting to me whatsoever. The first couple of Big Brother seasons were really interesting as the social experiment as it was originally conceived, and then it just became a 15 minutes of fame shit show. And anyway, reality show tangent there, but for me, I would love to see Michael Keaton star in a big TV show, and what would be kind of ideal would be if once Vince Gilligan and crew are done with Better Call Saul, which is phenomenal, by the way. I love that show. Can't wait for it to start again, like, next week. Really excited for that. It'd be cool if once they're done with Better Call Saul, they did something completely new and have Michael Keaton in the starring role, because he's my favourite actor, and the more I can get of him, the better. It's been great to see him go through somewhat of a resurgence in his career over the past few years, and I think there's still stuff to be, potential that's untapped as far as his acting is concerned. It's going to be great to see him in films like Spider-Man Homecoming, but I want to see him get into more meatier kind of dramatic roles, which he excels at. And I think a good meaty TV show would be awesome to showcase his talent. Number 10, which TV character do you feel should have died or should have lived? This is where I get nervous when I see people's videos, because I don't know what TV show they're going to spoil. I don't really have an answer for this one, to be honest. I can't think of any big TV death where I thought, man, I wish they'd lived, apart from caring about the character. And I can't think of any where I felt, man, I wish that character had died. I really can't think of anything. You know, and you go to something like The Walking Dead, where characters die a lot, and it's sad, but it serves the story. You know, they're all getting picked off one by one, and you're slowly left with hardly anything from the original group from the beginning, and then you have these new characters, and then they become part of the family again, and they get built up to the point where you don't want them to die, so it makes you care about the characters. But I honestly don't have a good answer for that one, so it is what it is. That's my kind of blatherings on about TV shows. I'm not going to tag anyone, and I hate it when people do this, so I'm being a complete hypocrite. Because whenever someone does a tag video and says, oh, I tag anyone who's watching this video, I never feel compelled to do it, even though that's kind of what I've done here, because Brian Lomax didn't tag me. But I just decided to do it, and I guess that's what I'm encouraging anyone else to do. Just do this tag if you want to. I'm not going to tag anyone specific, because then I feel like if they don't do it, it's kind of, I don't know, it's just awkward, isn't it, really? So yeah, consider yourself tagged if you're watching this, and I'd like to see people's answers to this one. And I probably should have planned it out a little bit more, but it is what it is. And there's another one, movies that changed my life tag, which I've done before. I did that like 3-4 years ago. I guess some of my answers might have changed now, but it's come back round again. You know, these tag concepts and lists keep coming back around. So I think I'll get to that in the next couple of days. So you can look out for that, and I'll see you in the next video.
It's alright by me. Apart from the fact he throws cans and calling into a tree. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's really cool. But he's not quite as cool as you.